A lot has been happening over the past week concerning the death of George Floyd. What were supposed to be peaceful protests over this tragedy have since evolved into riots that have claimed several lives and has caused the destruction of private property on a massive scale. But to make matters worse, there have been several politicians who have openly called for the defunding and or even the abolition of the police. There have already been resolutions introduced in city councils from LA to New York, Minneapolis, and even the city of Nashville to do just that. In the case of Los Angeles, Mayor Eric Garcetti actually even went so far as to want to cut the police department's budget by $100 to $150 million. This has of course led to some protests from the LAPD union, who openly criticized him, saying that such a cut could potentially lead to the elimination of hundreds of police officers. And in my honest opinion, I think that this is a bad idea. The introduction is completely bad timing. No, it's completely wrong in any case, because it opens up to potential crimes and other potential acts of activity. And even the Department of Justice backs this up in the case with Antifa. According to the Department of Justice, there has been evidence showing that Antifa has actually hijacked some of the protests, actually led to the start of several of these riots. Some of the evidence includes their communication on Twitter to try to coordinate on how to on these riots, and of course even weapons and materials found in cities where the riots were that could potentially be used to harm other people. Plus, let's not forget about the fact that a lot of people have already lost their lives as a result. Again, this is completely bad timing and against common sense to defund or abolish the police, because it opens up to potential increase in crime activity. And with Antifa on the loose, I do not like the idea of this happening. I do not like the idea of this at all. And a lot of Americans happen to agree with me. In fact, according to a YouGov poll, 65% of Americans polled have actually said that they were opposed cutting or abolishing the police. To further add to this poll, in another poll by Vox, 60% of Black Americans have actually said they want to hire more police officers, not have a reduction. And that's just 60% within their own poll. And all of this is in the case of the riots. A lot of people want these riots to end, to have things under control, which is why we're having this discussion about potentially having the National Guard or even active military to come in to quell these riots. This is what, again, a lot of people are just sick and tired of the criminal activity, the riots, and just the overall destruction and damage that has been causing, to put it mildly. In some cases, the National Guard is actually already in place to do just that. But there are some cases where that's not the case. A lot of people have. In fact, there's the situation with New York with Andrew Cuomo and Bill de Blasio, how he may potentially want to get rid of the mayor so that way he can bring in the National Guard to deal with the situation. It's chaos. Complete and total chaos. And because of that, a lot of people have actually been pretty receptive to the idea of having the military or someone come in to put the end to these riots. According to a poll, 71% of Americans want the National Guard to come in and deal with these riots. The National Guard. And then in another poll, 58% want the U.S. military to be a part of this. They would approve of that. Now, of course, it may be a smaller number, but nonetheless, that is how much people are sick and they're sick and tired of the whole rise in criminal activity as a result. A lot of people have been affected by this. And it doesn't help with the whole issue of the lockdown, how businesses are many of them are still closed as a result of COVID-19. And right now people just they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do in this situation. They can't open their businesses so that they can make money, and they have their hands tied in dealing with the whole looter situation. And adding insult to injury with the defunding or abolishing the police, that only makes this worse. People are not liking this, which is why I say again, people are more, according to a majority within the poll, are actually not only against the idea of cutting police funding or trying to get rid of the police and overall, they're actually more receptive to the idea of having the National Guard or the active military. More so with the National Guard. Again, 71% want the National Guard against the 58% who want the U.S. military. And even Donald Trump said, he demanded that the governors of these states that have been affected by these riots and protests said that these governors need to get a handle on the protest, on preventing them from growing into chaos to grow into something worse, or he will be forced to do it himself. Now, of course, this has led to backlash from amongst the media, saying that this is unprovoked and this is completely wrong, and in some cases actually saying that this is a power of a dictator, which is bold, to say the very least, considering the mainstream media. Because a lot of the mainstream media have openly said that many of these protests were peaceful. In fact, MSNBC, in one of their live segments, actually had one of their reporters outside say that everything's peaceful while behind them, some people were actually lighting buildings on fire and just trying to causing a lot of damage as possible. Just in that one segment, and yet he calls it peaceful. And this has been the narrative from a lot of the media outlets that's saying that these are protests. In fact, they've gone so far as to not label many of these protests as what they are, riots. Which is completely disingenuous and is only causing more problems. And it doesn't help that people like Ilhan Omar or other national politicians are actually in support of the protests, in support of the defunding or abolishing the police. It doesn't help. It's not going to. The idea that the mainstream media and even several national politicians like Ilhan Omar, like I previously mentioned, this is not going to help deal with the riots. It's only going to make them get worse, and it's not going to help with the issue of police brutality, which is definitely a major issue, 100% a major issue. But defunding or even getting rid of the police, that's not going to help at all. Criminals will only see this as an opportunity to continue doing what they do best, commit illegal activities. And it will be a major increase as potentially the police would be defunded or abolished. in my honest opinion, it seems more likely that they would be defunded rather than abolished. But still, people are not gonna like that. And in all honesty, I believe that this is going to be coming to a major political pushback against that. With a lot with here's an example. Back in 1992, with the whole LA race riots and that have been plaguing the rest of the country, at that time, due to the increase of criminal activity and riots, people have switched to going with candidates who are advocates for law and order, advocates for the police, like Rudy Giuliani, who's one of the first Republicans to actually become mayor of New York City in several decades at that time, I believe. Considering the historical track record, and considering the situation we're currently in as a country with again the riots and the rising criminal activity, I believe that there would be something similar as a result. The idea of defunding or getting rid of the police altogether is ludicrous. Because the police are 100% essential. They are essential to prevent crime in the first place, to protect the people, to protect and serve. And now these people just want to get rid of that, to appease the mob. The mob will not simply be fine with this. They will probably go farther. And I'm pretty sure that, like I said before, criminals will 100% take advantage of this situation. It's not going to help anyone. It will not help anyone. It will not deal with the issue of police brutality, and it will not deal with it will not deal with it will not deal with anything with just some issues over with it's just, I'm sorry, it's just I do not understand how people would come to this and say that this is a good idea. There is absolutely no real reason to say that this will work. It will not address the problems of police brutality. It will only allow anarchy to pursue. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people within these protests will not like that whatsoever. My name is Noah Meehan on The Arc Truth. Please post your comments down below, like this video, subscribe, and share with friends. Also, if you have any issues regarding my videos, such as how I talk, how I frame my video, or any improvements you want me to make, or any subjects you want me to talk about, please post them down in the comment section down below, or directly message me. Thank you.